name's Andres Burgos. I am the HNIP program coordinator, and it stands for HACU National Internship Program. And HACU stands for the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities. It's a well-established organization. I believe we're about to hit our 30-year mark starting April this year. So in about a month, we will be an organization that's been alive for about 30 years. So we have a well-established connection with many, many different federal agencies. And I'm about to go into our program and the different opportunities that you can have as a student. So you might have heard me mention federal agencies, because that's what our internship program is about. It's all about connecting students from all across the United States with different federal agencies. As you can see on the screen, we have NSF, CDC, SEC, and USDA. We have about 9 other organizations that you can also connect with through our program. You might not know what any of these organizations mean, except for a few. You probably know, have a good understanding of CDC, especially because during the pandemic, they're ones giving a lot of announcements out, and same with USDA, which usually hear recalling of foods. Well, not only do they have those basic understandings of the organizations, there's more in depth to them. You might get an offer, an internship for a CDC, but you have a background in finance, specifically because you'll be working with their finance division. Or you might have a background or a major in graphic design, and CDC would want to have you as an intern to help communicate with the populace about different ways on how to mitigate disease spread. So as you can see, you're not only touching the basics of these organizations, you're going to go in depth and basically be a full-time worker with them, but you'll be under the guise of an internship. And these are paid internships because they will be treating you as an employee. You'll be surprised. And I'm going to be saying you'll be surprised a lot during this info session, because you will be surprised. Yeah, you will be surprised how much of they will not treat you like an intern during your internship. They treat you like an employee. They treat you with respect. They won't give you duties that usually you would feel the typical intern would get during your internship with these agencies. Specifically because a lot of these agencies normally don't get interns, but since they trust our organization so much, they trust us to vet all the students who apply for their different internship positions. They have gone to us and they have internships specifically just that you can get just with our organization. So some of the internships that we offer cannot be found anywhere else online. And an amazing thing is that a lot of other federal agencies that you can find online aren't paid like ours. So if you're an undergraduate student, you'll get $15.50 an hour. And if you are a graduate student, you'll get paid $17.50. We do have this opportunity year round. Our current summer applications are open, and the deadline for the current summer applications is March 18th. If you're looking at the calendar right now, you probably noticed that March 18th is coming very, very soon. The good thing is that our fall applications are also open, and they have a deadline in June. So if you don't think you can get the application together by March 18th, you do have the chance to still apply for our fall applications. But later on, I'm going to tell you how you can apply for our summer applications, even though the deadline is coming very, very soon. I want to continue on by saying that if you do get a summer internship or a fall internship and you truly enjoy your time, you are eligible to apply again for the following session. So there's 2 ways that this can go out. You do your internship in the summer. Maybe you do it with USDA. USDA truly enjoys the work you've done with them as an intern. They ask us, hey, can we get Rosa to come back again for the following session? We would say, of course. And Rosa now has an internship for the following fall session. Or maybe the CDC is like, we're not taking interns during the fall session. But Rosa still wants to continue and do an internship with HNIP. She can reapply and get a federal position with a federal agency, again with a different agency, and it can be with a different sub-agency. It doesn't not have to be the same exact position. It can differ. We have students who start their sophomore year with us and they continue on with the program all the way until they get their PhD. So this can turn into a very, very long and prosperous internship offer for you. Some of these positions are full-time and part-time. A lot of our positions in the summer are full-time. By full-time, we usually mean about 40 hours. But you can negotiate a little bit with your supervisor. Once you do get that offer, you can negotiate and say, hey, I can't do full 40 hours, but maybe I can do 36, 38. And depending on their supervisor, depending on the contract that we have specifically with that sub-agency or the agency as a whole, that is negotiable. Maybe you don't have time full-time this summer, but you do really want a part-time opportunity. Well, a lot of our internship positions in the fall will be part-time, but I highly recommend you try to get that summer internship because a lot of our internships right now are virtual. It is somewhat of a hidden blessing that during the pandemic, a lot of these agencies realized that a lot of these positions can be done virtually. So they decided to expand the pool of applicants to be from all across the United States. So you might be in San Jose right now or somewhere else in the Bay Area, or maybe even in SoCal, but you can get offered an internship all the way over here where I'm at in Washington, DC, and just work asynchronous times or work in Eastern Standard Time during the summer. So it's an opportunity that you usually won't get. It's an opportunity that many students normally won't hear about, which is why I'm here to explain to you how not only are we giving you this paid internship, it can also be virtual. And this also allows you to be being able to apply to some of our HNIP alumni and HNIP current student scholarships. So we understand college is expensive. So we want to help you as much as we can. So if you do get in our program, you're also eligible to apply to some of our scholarships. And also during our program, we also do hold like professional seminars. We just finished one about an hour ago, specifically on helping students how to apply to USA Jobs. I don't know if any of you have looked at the USA Jobs board. It is very complicated and intricate. So we try to help you out with that. We also hold seminars on professional development, networking, and even how to apply for a Peace Corps or a Fulbright scholarship. So we definitely try to make sure that not only are you improving your professional career with your internship, we also try to make sure that your academic career is also going well. So I might call your interest. And some of you might be thinking, how am I eligible for this program? Well, first off, I want to make sure that everyone understands that there is no race or ethnicity requirement. We are called the Hispanic Association, but for this specific program, we do not require any race or ethnicity requirements. This also includes, there is no specific major. Like I explained before, we get your application and we pair it up with different internship positions in multiple agencies. So I can send your application not just to one position, but I have sent applications to students for over 5 positions. So they even have a higher chance to get that federal virtual internship. So once again, this is a very unique internship opportunity because you're not only filling out an application for one position, you're filling out an application for multiple positions. From memory, right now, we currently have over 80 positions, and we started out at the very beginning of our session, beginning of our application when it opens, we had over 200 positions. Those 80 positions, they can still be filled in very quickly. So the sooner you get in your application in, the sooner you can get send your application to fulfill that internship position. Another thing that you do need to know is that you do have to be degree seeking. That means that you do have to be seeking an associate's, a bachelor's, master's, JD, or PhD. And you also have to have completed your first year of your undergraduate studies. So what does that mean? That means if you are currently a freshman in this call and you're wondering, or you're watching this video and you're wondering, oh man, I don't qualify. Well, if you are going to complete your first year by May or June, if you will be a rising sophomore or rising second year by May or June, you do qualify for this position. But if you started out in the winter quarter or in the spring quarter, your academic year as a freshman, that sadly means you're not qualified. You would have to start it in the fall. Another thing that you should know is that we also do accept recent graduates. By recent graduates, we mean up to 1 year. So if you're going to be graduating this upcoming May or June, you can still apply. We highly recommend you apply because there are positions that do ask for recent graduates. And during the summer session, it's definitely easier for you to apply because you can do those 3 months of your internship with a federal agency, and straight off the bat, you can go and start applying to different jobs with that internship in your pocket. I do know from experience that some of these federal agencies, when you're having a mentor at that specific agency, they look out for you. They help you with networking. They make sure that you go and can get connections so you can get a job with the federal agency. And if there's not a position open at the federal agency, they make sure to speak with their own network to try to find one for you. A lot, like I said before, A lot of these federal agencies normally don't have interns, so it's something that's enthusiastic for a lot of these federal agency workers because they finally have the chance to have a mentee. So they put their whole heart into it and they make sure that you try to succeed. Another major requirement is that you do have to be a US citizen for many of our internship positions, but don't let that discourage you because we do still have positions for students who are DACA or who are legally allowed to work, authorized to work in the United States. This isn't an HACU requirement. This is just mostly because if you're going to be working with these world-renowned federal agencies, they have some highly sensitive information, so they want to make sure that it's secured. So you're going to have to pass that security clearance, and sadly for a lot of these, the security clearance does require that you're a US citizen. If you have more questions about passing the security clearances, that's something that you can always email us. We'll put my email at the end because those are very specific per agency. Not every agency asks for the same security clearance. So that's something that's definitely something that we can have a one-on-one with at a later date. To the application process. Like I said, one application, multiple internship positions. First off, reminder, very quick reminder so you can write it down in your calendar. March 18th is the deadline, hard set deadline. If this does get extended, you can see that in our social media page, which I'll also be putting at the end of this presentation. But for right now, keep in mind, March 18th is the deadline. Our application is fairly simple. It's a text box based application, which means that you don't have to upload your resume. You just copy and paste a lot of the information that's already on your resume and you just paste it onto our text boxes. There are 3 things that we do require students to upload though. One of them is an enrollment verification, which you can get at your registrar's office. Another one is an official transcript. Lastly, one letter of recommendation. We do know that that's somewhat hard to get within this next week to reach that March 18th deadline. So we want to make sure that we make it easier on all of you. You can go and fill out the text-based application, put in your education, resume, section, work history, type out your essay really quick, which is only a 500 word. We only ask for 500 words. The agencies don't have time to read a 2-page essay. And then instead of putting in your enrollment verification, you can put a placeholder. This is a placeholder. Secondly, for your transcript, you can submit your unofficial transcript and then also state this is a placeholder. Lastly, letter recommendation, you can also put a page that says this is a placeholder. We do ask to make sure that it's an unofficial transcript. And we also do ask that if you are picked for an internship position with the federal agency, you do have to go and submit those 3 things as stated: enrollment verification, an official transcript, and a letter recommendation immediately. If you get offered the position and you don't upload these 3 things immediately, we will have to tell the agency that you are not eligible for this position. So make sure you keep that in mind, that currently you can go and do these and put these placeholders just to make sure that we can get your application sent to the federal agency so you can get that internship position, but you have to make sure that you get those 3 documents right away. Another thing is 1 to 3 references. You can put down 1 reference, but if you do put down 1 reference, it does have to be professional or educational. We want to make sure that the federal agencies are contacting someone that knows your professional or educational life and the way you function that way, since a lot of these agencies are going to be expecting you to do a lot of heavy research, as well as just being professional in the workspace, even though it can be asynchronous or virtual. A really helpful tip that I tell a lot of students when they're filling out their application is to keep it generic and put details. That seems kind of contradictory, but by that, I mean that you really want to keep it generic because we're sending your application to multiple agencies. So if you're in your essay, you put, hey, I really want to work for the CDC. And then we sent your application to the SEC and the CDC. And the CDC goes, no, we want this other student. But then your application is fully qualified for the SEC. But they see then your essay, you really want to work for the CDC. They're like, oh, this student doesn't want to work here. He doesn't want to have this internship here. And then you end up with no internship. So you really want to make sure you try to keep it generic. But also put loads of details. Put up every experience you've had in your college career or recent experience in general. You might be thinking to yourself, I don't have a work history that would qualify me for a federal position. You'd be very, very surprised that they don't really care. They want a student who's ambitious and has the willpower to go and say, hey, I want to go above and beyond and do something that most people would assume that I wouldn't be able to do. They're coming to us, specifically to HACU, the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, because they want to diversify their background. They want to diversify their workforce. They understand that there is definitely a monopoly on a specific sort of ethnicity and race in their workforce in the federal world. I can guarantee you that. I live in DC. Definitely, there's a lack of diversity. So they definitely want to diversify the workplace, not only with majors, with the different educations, but also just your background in general. So please don't let that discourage you in any way if you feel like your work history would never qualify for this federal agency, because they're looking for students to diversify their workforce. Don't undersell yourself. That's a really big one. Don't undersell yourself. Again, you'll never know if you are that perfect applicant that they're looking for. And always make sure to check out your career center when you're writing your essay or you're filling out your resume. I know I would always do when I was in college, just bother them. That's what they're there for you to bother them. I'll also be typing in the application link in the chat for all of you. Please make sure to write that down after. I'll make sure to do that after the presentation. I also want to quickly go over another aspect of our organization called corporate HNIP. I personally don't know that much information in what positions are available for this side of our organization because I work with the federal side of it. This one's definitely a lot different. This one does accept a lot of students that can't get that security clearance at a normal federal agency, which means that students who are not US citizens can apply for this program and can expect that won't stop them during the process. I do know that San Jose State is definitely an HSI, it's an Hispanic Serving Institution, so you do qualify for this opportunity. It's during the summer only, and I do know that they've been open since the fall. So that means they've been filling those positions for a couple of months now. It's definitely been open, and I do know that they fill up fast. So I highly suggest you, if you are qualified to apply for our normal HNIP with the federal agencies, apply for that one first, because I do know more information about that one. I do know that we have a lot of open positions for our federal agencies, as well as I do know that a lot of them are virtual. And then go on and investigate more on your own. I'll also type this website in the chat for all of you for the corporate HNIP side of things.
Andres, if you don't mind, I had a quick question, unless you want to address questions at the end of the presentation.
I can do a quick question right now.
We had a question in the chat that was asking about the letter of recommendation requirement. Does that need to be from a professor? Who are you recommend that the letter of recommendation be from?
It's really recommended that it can be either someone who knows your educational background, so a professor or a TA, or someone from your work background, so a previous supervisor. We do want someone that who has had a supervisory role for you if it is in your work-related life. So I wouldn't recommend a coworker.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
And then now we're gonna hear a little quick, little like 3-minute little talk from John Sanders from the SEC. He is definitely like our HACU liaison at the SEC, and the SEC stands for Security and Exchange Commission. So they do a lot with financing and banking. This is just a very brief tidbit. I recorded this at another session, which he was able to attend. And I really do think that he got the full concept of the experience of what an intern will be experiencing at these different federal agencies.
I am John Sanders. I'm the program manager for the partnership that the SEC has with HACU. We're currently in our second semester of having interns, and it has been an amazing partnership. I'm continuously impressed with the incredible support that the staff from HACU provides, but then also truly the high quality interns that I've had the pleasure of interacting with. It's been so much that I've even given myself the unofficial title of ambassador of HACU and the internship program. So on the individual level, the experience for the interns is phenomenal. At the SEC, we truly look at interns that we receive as colleagues. They're assigned truly meaningful tasks that are built to stretch their abilities, but they also contribute directly to the SEC's mission. And our mission is protecting investors, maintaining fair and efficient markets, as well as facilitating capital formation, or typically that's referred to as helping companies grow. And we expect our interns to make meaningful contributions while they're here with us. We value your opinions and your perspectives. Recently, I became aware of a story where an intern said that this experience was not at all what he expected. And he said it in a very positive way, but it was walking into it thinking that they were just going to do very simple tasks or things that, we didn't want to do at the SEC, making copies or just filing some paperwork. And, that's what he kind of thought he was getting into. And then he was thrown right into the mix of really contributing and being a key member of our team. So it was a welcome experience. We're not looking for anybody to do little basic jobs that we don't want to do. We want to encourage and help you grow.
So as you can hear from John Sanders, they do truly treat you as an employee. You do contribute to these federal agencies. I know I've spoken with students who have interned with the CDC currently, and they work on academic journals, specifically on epidemiology, and getting that information out to the public in an easier fashion. I've also heard from students a student who goes to Long Beach, who works in oceanography. I forgot the specific sub-agency because there's so many, but works in oceanography and has contributed to a lot of the talks right now that are happening in Congress about environmental awareness and how global warming is affecting our current situation. So you're taken serious when you apply, when you get this position. You aren't just an intern. You're a mentee. Like I said before, a lot of these people that work at these federal agencies, this is their first time being a mentor, so they're an extremely enthusiastic group. And you're there to learn. You're there to learn and contribute. I can't stress it more. You are and you will be an employee at the federal agency for 3 months during your internship, and you will contribute to these federal agencies, to these policies that we hear on the news. All those things you hear in the news that congressmen are talking about, what senators are talking about, what President Joe Biden's talking about, a lot of the information can be coming from you if you get this internship.
I am John Sanders.
I also want to go over and touch upon some other topics and other programs that we have. If you are a graduate student, we do have the NHMA, Hispanic Leadership Development Fellowship. That one's definitely for graduate students who are getting their MPH, Masters in Public Health. They deal with how the different health disparities and the health insecurities in the Hispanic community all across the nation. We do have academic scholarships. So maybe if you're not interested in the internship, but you do like the mission of HACU, which you can find online, you can go and apply for our scholarships. We do have scholarships available for students. We also have different conferences and summits across the United States. I do know we're going to hold our big summit and conference at San Diego this year. I know it's all the way down in SoCal, and you guys are all the way up in NorCal, but something I highly encourage. You can also find information about that online at www.hacu.net. And I do think that our CAIA summer program is no longer accepting applications. So that's something I definitely should have deleted off the slide. Sorry about that. But we do also have the Pro Talento job board, where you can find different positions available for you to apply that are just not internships, but just normal, if you're graduating, just normal employment. I'm going to put the social media up on the screen. Please feel free to follow us on our social media, specifically on our Instagram. We do highlight current and past HNIP students, interns. So we usually try to tag them as much as possible, because we do get questions from current and prospective applicants who they want to speak with someone who's been part of the program as in the intern perspective. So you can definitely always bother them with that. Whenever we tag them, we always give them a notification. Hey, we do know that some students may be contacting you just to hear more about your experience. Also on our social media, you can always check if we're extending a deadline. So before we update our website, I usually go and update our social media and put the deadline there. So you can relieve some of your stress if you're thinking of the deadlines coming up and you still have not gathered all your documents or press that submit button on your application. You're also always free to email us at hnip@hacu.net. I'll be putting that in the chat in a little bit as well. But feel free to also find the application at www.hacu.net/hnip. And I will also be putting it in the chat right now. But while I am doing that, I am more than happy to check the chat for some questions. And also feel free to type some more questions in the chat or just unmute yourself as well.
Hi, this is Myra. I had a question regarding the essay, and I'm sorry if I missed this during the presentation. Is there a space where you discuss a little bit more of what you want to see in the essay? What should we be sharing? How personal should it be? Should it be more on the professional side? Could you just say a little bit more?
I think the best way to describe our essay portion is kind of the same essay that you submitted when you're applying to college. It gives you a little bit more background about you as a person and kind of distinguishes if you have a blemish on your transcripts, maybe one quarter you didn't do so well. I highly recommend that you mention that there and why and how you're going to improve off of it. I definitely think that's the best way to describe our essay. It's only 500 words. So it's not an extremely long essay. It's a very quick, brief introduction. You can also put why you're interested in HACU. From memory, that is the main topic and subject of it, but just kind of give your own personality. I have seen students who write some of it in Spanish because they want to highlight that they're Spanish speakers. But I highly suggest you just try to keep it to just English, but putting a phrase or two in Spanish definitely gives the employer, the federal agency, a better personality take on you. So definitely it's in between a professional and informal.
Hello.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. I was wondering if you guys have any like examples of like of essays on your website, or yeah.
That is a good question. I don't think we have that many examples, but I wouldn't stress that much about the essay portion of the application. I do know that they will read the essay portion, but during this process, when we send them the application, they will reach out to you for an interview. I do know that they highly look in, and they basically hire their internship applicants from that interview. Like I said before, they want to diversify their workforce. They want students who have different ideas from their current workforce. So definitely don't stress too much about the essay. Stress more about getting all the documents together and then waiting for that interview.
Thank you.
If anyone has any more questions, please feel free to type it in the chat or just unmute yourself. I am more than happy to answer any questions.
I just had a comment and a question.
Mhm.
So from what I gather, it seems like it's very much with the essay portion, just be professional, be brief, but also like just kind of be yourself, so to speak. And then for the part where you said like be general, but be specific. And obviously like, I don't want to be that specific where I'm like, oh, this specific federal organization, like you mentioned your example with the CDC, but can we still be specific in the way of like a specific area of like maybe like tailoring it to our specific area of study or specific area of maybe like a career venture we want to head over to, like maybe our interests or current passions, like can we be specific in that way?
You can be specific in that way. A lot of these, when they send in their requirements for their internship position, so an agency can send us, I currently have an agency list for USAID. They sent me over, from memory, 53 different positions. In those 53 different positions, they ask for different qualifications. Every single position has a different qualification. I can tell you the most unique internship position I have found so far that's been sent to me was from USAID, and they asked me for a history major who has some sort of emphasis or has studied deeply about the history of the Balkans. I don't know where I'm going to find an intern with that very specific qualifications, but I think that can help you get a general idea of just put down all your information. So if you're interested in biology, put down all the information about biology. Don't put down information of finance. Maybe you might have done some financing, but you're specifically very interested in biology. I would recommend putting down all your work history in biology. But by that, we also mean if you've worked as a cashier, that's definitely valid because you have customer service experience. And I can guarantee you in some of these positions, The federal workers would be, oh, thank God I have an intern that's customer service experience, because I'm bad at dealing with customer service and communication. So that's what I mean by be detailed. If you want something in biology, like I said, put down your biology history, but if you also have experience as being in cashier or customer service, also put that down as well. And then answer Gabriel's question real quick. Oh, Nikki, you can go first, and then I'll answer Gabriel's.
Okay. Hi, I just wanted to ask a quick question. I'm a graduate student at San Jose online, and I'm here in Southern California. Because it seems like there's only one position that I would be able to apply for if I understood you correctly, and maybe I misunderstood.
Which position do you think that? We have multiple positions. I have only mentioned one so far.
Oh, no, I can't remember which one you said, but you said something about graduate students would apply for this one. I think it was.
So our general HNIP application, that was for one specific program. Our general HNIP application does get students, undergraduates, graduates, PhD, associate degree. Some applications for some internship positions ask specifically for graduate students in the field.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, just same as always, you'll be surprised what type of majors they ask. I just had I just remember USA. A lot of these very unique positions might be with USA. I just had USA ask me for a graduate student in their first year who has studied women's studies specifically and religious studies. So once again, USA is very diverse. So they definitely will have a lot of those very unique majors and requirements. So
okay, I was curious because I'm a library and information science major. So I was curious about that too.
Internship positions for the Library of Congress, and they specifically want students who are research heavy.
Oh, okay, great. All right, well, thank you.
Then I'll answer Gabriel's question, and after that, I'll open it up again to everyone else. What are good ways to be informed / research the correct information about an employer, more specific to the job they have posted? So as I said before, if you go to our website, which I posted a little bit higher up, let me copy and paste that again. If you go to our website, there is a, I forgot the technical term for it, the slidey down thing on our website that says current positions. If you click on that, it'll open a few other positions, but then you can click see more positions or see all positions, and it opens up all the positions we have available, and we're currently updating a lot of them. Thanks, Myra. Yeah, the scroll bar. Yeah, you'll see the scroll bar. And then from there, you see a bunch of positions and their requirements and a lot of what the duties are. Some of them do have their mission statement for the sub-agency, because you might have never heard of the sub-agency. But the cool thing about it is that when we get your application and we do send it to the internship position, I will be sending you an email, or my coworker will be sending you an email. And in that email, it will tell you each position in that agency or sub-agency we have sent your application to. And we'll also direct you directly to a link with a specific description and the mission of the agency. And we'll also be sending you the website link to that agency and or the sub-agency. So we want you to go in informed. We want you to succeed. We want to make sure that you get that internship, even though we do send multiple of your applications. So maybe Gabriel and maybe Myra might be fighting for the same internship position. We're making sure that you're both informed with all the information you need. From then on, it will be on you to ace that interview and make them love you and give you that position. So that's how the process will work. So the research, we'll make sure to help you out a little bit more. We'll make sure that the supervisor knows who you are. We'll make sure of all that information, but it's going to be on you after that to get a little bit more insight on that position and on that sub-agency. Does anyone have any more questions? I am more than happy to answer them.
I guess
No one
this
has-
is like an inquiry I had.
Yeah, go for it.
So I noticed that you said, like, obviously the essay, as you mentioned, isn't as important as we may put it up to be. So we have to be like general, but at the same time specific, as well as like there aren't any examples, so to speak. But is there anything you've noticed that people have done like similarly where they accidentally put like CDC, but when they shouldn't, like common mistakes you've noticed in people's applications, and what are key components you think are of the application process, other than like what it seems like just making sure we complete all of our documents?
I think definitely the biggest mistake is writing down that students want one specific agency. These agencies are huge. And within these agencies, there's multiple sub-agencies. Like I said, I can't recall even 2 or 3 sub-agencies because there's just so many. I can probably make up a random word and it'll be a sub-agency for a random federal agency. So none of these sub-agencies or agencies are communicating with each other. Like the worker at the SEC isn't best friends with the guy at the CDC. That's just not how it works. They're very far apart. They do their own work of line of work. So if I were to send an application with the student that says CDC to maybe the FDA is going to be like, well, I don't want to work. I don't want the student who doesn't want to be here. So that's definitely the biggest mistake. And then what was the second half of your question? Sorry, Angelica.
That's all right. It's just thank you for answering my first question, but just the other portion of, other than that part of the application process, and of course, like make sure we have all of our proper documents and everything turned in. Is there anything else that we should put emphasis towards?
I definitely think getting those 3 documents is the biggest deterrent for a lot of students. We are able to see our in-progress students, the students who have started our application but haven't submitted it. And the biggest detriment is getting those 3 documents. That's what holds back a lot of students. I can tell from the top of my head, we have over 1,000 students that are in progress, and a lot of them stopped at getting that documentation. And they gave up. That's what I'm telling you. Filling out the application, getting those documents is half the battle in applying for this. The second half is definitely acing that interview. This agencies definitely look at your transcript. They definitely look, hey, this is a student who gets good grades, or hey, this is a student who has some good work experience, who has a diverse work experience. So when they hit you up on that interview, they definitely want you to be the person who's outstanding, outgoing, well-spoken, thoughtful. They want someone with personality. Like I'm telling you right now, a lot of these federal workers, they've studied their job description to the very, very dotted lines. So a lot of them, just kind of want someone to brighten the workspace while they're also doing their job correctly. They want students, they want young blood in their agencies. So definitely, I think the biggest part besides getting that documentation is the interview. Hopefully that answers your question, Angelica.
That does. And then I may be annoying, but I have one more question.
Go for it. I love answering questions.
Throughout this entire process, like the application process, and then maybe even leaning towards the interview process, I know we have our own resources here at SJSU with the Career Center. Are there any resources with HNIP?
So yes and no. Personally, I just like helping students out get these positions. So if you do email at the HNIP and you go, and actually I can just type in my personal work email. I'll type in my personal work email. And if I have time during the work hours, I can definitely give you some pointers and some tips on your application, especially because I do know that I have a lot of positions open for USAID. Like I told you, I have very specific positions for the USAID. So I want more students to apply. Any way I can help, I want you to send in your application. Even if maybe you don't get it this round, I want you to go and apply for the fall session because we get new and different and diverse internship positions every session. They are never the same. They just aren't. I'm always surprised that these federal agencies can always come up with the most unique internship positions. So they're never going to be the same. So maybe you do get rejected in the summer, or maybe you don't have time to finish your application in the summer, but you go and complete the fall application. You still have that chance from the fall to get that unique internship. And once again, it's still paid. It doesn't change. The payment method doesn't change. Both summer and fall will be paid internships. So please don't let that discourage you. If you have any specific questions about filling your application, you always feel free to email me at my work email or at the main HNIP email. I manage the HNIP email usually half the time. So if I'm not able to look at the HNIP email always feel free to directly email me on that one. But besides that, I think that's the most help I can give in your application. Sorry, I can't play favorites, even though I am a California native. I can't play favorites to California natives. I got to be fair with everyone.
So, oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just had another question. Do you, or will there be like a transcript of things that you've put links to, like your email address and some of the other things that you made links with?
Yeah, I can share the slides with Patrick after the session. I also didn't know Patrick's recording the session, so it's probably easier just to share the slides, but I can share the slides with Patrick. And yep, there he goes. Give me the thumbs up, and he'll probably share it with all of you.
Okay, great.
We'll also have the recording of this event edited and published to our Career Center YouTube channel probably sometime next week.
Next week. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
So, if I heard correctly, we could turn in the application with placeholders, right? For the,
Yes.
so, but we cannot have like placeholders for every single let's say, like the letter of recommendation and all of those. Like we cannot have a placeholder for every single one of those requirements. Maybe just like one or two, right?
So since the deadline is coming up in 9 days, and this is the first time in a really long time since the pandemic has started that a lot of these federal agencies are giving us, when they tell us, hey, we have internship positions, they give us over 50 positions. So we really, really, really want more students to apply. We already have over 300 applicants, and yet we still need more students. So we really want you to put a placeholder right now. But when I do move your application from submitted to eligible, I will be sending you on an email and reminding you, hey, these are placeholders. I need you to get these documents right away. And I'll also be giving you a reminder in that email that if you are picked for that position with the federal agency and you have not submitted any of those official documents for which you submitted placeholders in, I will not give you that position. I will give it to someone else. We have more than enough qualified applicants. So make sure you get that position, all those documents turned in. But we do require you to turn at least enough unofficial transcripts because we at least want to make sure we give those agencies your grades.
So you guys, since you guys are requiring our transcripts, eventually are we gonna have to submit an official transcript, not just the unofficial?
Yes, you would have to submit eventually the official transcript. And you can either do that by scanning it and uploading it onto your profile, or you can always email it at, I'm gonna retype the email real quick. Email it at hnip@hacu.net. And then from there, you'll just edit your application and make sure that's put in right immediately. And then we'll go to Myra.
Hi, Andres. I was wondering, for those of us that are graduate students, do we have to submit transcripts just for our graduate program or also for our undergraduate studies?
That's a very good question. And you should have at least, if you started during the fall, I forgot if San Jose semester or quarter, if during the fall session, you should have at least that 1 quarter or semester in your transcript. So we would definitely prefer you just to send in your graduate transcript. If you don't have any documentation of any grades for your graduate studies, feel free to upload your undergraduate studies transcript.
Okay, thank you.
Does
And
anyone
I
have, oh, go ahead, Andrea,
sorry.
sorry.
So I have a question. So I just transferred from a community college. Like I'm not like very close with like any of my teachers, and I just started a new job and I didn't have a job like during the pandemic. Like I was on unemployment. So for the recommendation letter, like who would you suggest that I ask for the recommendation letter? Like my employer has only known me for probably like 4 months. So I don't know if that would be valid enough. Like I feel like my work ethic has been pretty good. Like I get to work on time and all of that. So I don't know if it would still be good to ask him for a recommendation letter, or what do you suggest?
I suggest go ahead and ask them. They definitely have at least 4 months is a lot. especially for a student. Some of the students I've seen, they've submitted letter of recs for professors that they only known for that 1/4 semester. It's extremely valid to have that. Once again, if that goes for anyone who's watching this recording or anyone else that's in this Zoom call, that is a common occurrence. I get emails all the time from students who are applicants who say, I don't have anyone to ask a letter of recommendation from. You may be surprised that sometimes you're just overthinking it and you can just go to a professor that you get good grades with, and they would be more than happy to sit down with you and write that letter of recommendation. Hopefully that answered your question, Andrea, and gave you a little bit more confidence in asking.
Yes, it did answer. Thank you.
I typed in again for George, and for everyone else, you can find our application right there at www.hacu.net/HNIP. It's in big bold, says apply, and you can also go down to the scroll bar and see different current internship positions that we have. I also do know that I'm uploading a lot of the USAID one. Like I told you, they're very diverse and they take a really long time to upload onto our webpage, but they'll slowly be going up most likely by this Friday. But we also really would love if you can turn in your applications at least by Monday, so we can start compiling them and sending them to different federal agencies. Like I said before, you can always put those placeholders in, but make sure at least for the placeholder for the transcript, which should be your official transcript, you can put an unofficial transcript. Please make sure that is there. If not, you'll most likely be getting an email from me, and then I'm going to be bothering you for it because you're probably a qualified candidate. I want to make sure you get that internship, or at least have the ability to apply for that internship. No, so if you are graduating during this current winter or spring semester quarter, you are still eligible to apply. We do still accept recent graduates all the way up to 1 year, but I will let you know that some of these qualifications, some of these federal agencies are very specific on the qualifications, and they would say, they do say like, we want students who are currently enrolled. Some of them don't care. They just say a student, at least who has finished up to their junior year, it can be a graduate, so a student who has graduated, or it can be a student who's been out of college for a little bit over a few months. They're very specific on their qualifications, so there are still positions available for you, George, if that applies to you. Don't let it discourage you. We have a lot of recent senior graduates who are applying for our program, specifically because even I know, because I graduated in 2020, that the job market ain't the best right now. So definitely getting that internship for 3 months and putting that into your resume is something that's going to be helping you a lot. Does anyone have any more questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or type it in the chat. I'm very happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so this is like probably gonna be my last question. So how many applicants, or I guess, is there a higher chance of us getting an internship during this time? Because you were saying that there's like a lot of internships available, and a lot of the applicants, like they don't get through like the submitting all of the necessary documents. So do you think that there's like a higher chance of us getting an internship for the summer or for this round?
So I can tell you directly that I currently have about 52 to 53 USAID positions, all of them varying in qualifications. I also do know I have a few with NASA. We are still currently getting NASA students as well. I also do know that I have some for FDIC. They are also asking for 10 positions. Each position, I send in about 3 to 4 applications who are qualified candidates. So you can probably do the math. I suck at math. I study political science. I'm not good at math. 52 times 3, you have a pretty good chance. And that goes up with other federal agencies as well. You have a pretty good chance. I say just completing and submitting your application gives you about a 50-50 shot at getting an internship, because your application can be sent to more than one position. Hopefully that answered your question, Andrea. And I love, keep on asking questions if you have one.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone have any more questions? I am more than happy to answer them.
For those positions that might be in Washington, DC, is there any compensation for like travel expenses?
So our positions are, a lot of them are virtual. I know I have submitted about over 200 internship positions, and about 20 of them were hybrid or in person. So a lot of our positions in the summer are virtual. So before the pandemic, we would actually fly students out to their offices and they would do their internships there. So we would pay for their housing, we would pay for their flights in and out of the location. But since the pandemic has happened, a lot of our internships are virtual. We are not currently doing that. I know we are in talks about doing that again, probably in about a year. So you would be looking at the spring cohort of 2023. And even then, it might not happen. But that is something that we have done in the past, and it is something that we are considering bringing back eventually.
Thank you.
Actually, quick on that too. I just remembered. Sometimes you do have to go get specific security clearances with specific agencies. I do know we have a few students during this session who were doing an internship with the CDC. So they had to go all the way from Texas to the CDC, and we did pay for their flight, but for wherever they were staying over the night, that was on them in their own pockets. But we did help pay for the flight. And that's very rare occurrences and very little agencies that ask for you to come and get your security clearances in person. Does anyone have any more questions? Again, love answering the questions.
Oh, and I guess this is more like just a suggestion, because I know I've been in DC before and it's an absolutely amazing city. So if they're looking at this in the future, I do hope that they do go back at some point.
I agree. I live in DC now. I grew up in California, grew up half of my childhood in Bakersfield. I don't know if any of you know where Bakersfield is. Not the best place in the world. So definitely DC is a lot nicer. Any other questions? As you can probably tell by now, I love talking. So if you have any other questions, I'd love to answer them right now if we're in the call. But if not, I'll type in my personal email address. You can always ask me questions there. By personal, I mean my personal work email address. So I probably won't answer unless it's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time.
So we can send you our our application and stuff so that you can look over it and give your opinion on it, or no?
There isn't much to look over. Like, again, I'm saying it's a pretty straightforward application. Probably the most brain power you're going to be putting into this application is collecting those documents and then writing your essay. But even then, your essay is just trying to like gauge your personality. I'd be more than happy to do it. I don't guarantee that I'll be able to do it quickly, specifically because I am sending out a lot of applications every single minute. I am reviewing applications. I am submitting applications. I am uploading applications. So I wouldn't rely on me too much, or any of my coworkers right now, specifically because it is heading towards that deadline date. But feel free to send it over still. I still encourage you to just submit your application and just have that confidence in yourself. Andrea, you probably are a lot more qualified than you think you are. You're just stressing over it.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone have any more questions? I love answering questions. It's my favorite part of my job.
Actually, before everybody leaves, I'm gonna drop a link in the chat. So if everybody can do me a favor and fill out the survey, just to, I mean, it basically helps us run these kinds of events at the end of the day. So yeah.
The survey goes for the SJSU Career Center and helps us run events with employers.
Please, everyone, follow the survey. Definitely a highly interactive information session. So I would love, obviously, to come again and speak for the fall applicants. Again, Patrick and Juan.
And also, if you haven't done so already, we've been posting check-in forms for SJSU Career Center and HACU in the chat window periodically. You can go back and check the chat window, and you can find both of those links. And that'll be like the way to check in for today's event.
Completing the HACU form definitely gives me easier access to bombard you with deadline dates. So if you want to be bothered by me personally, with my amazing emails telling you to submit your application, please fill out that form.
He says that in the most positive way.
My bombardment emails are the best thing in the world, so I think all of you would want it.
Any other questions, you guys?
Reminder that you can always email me at, I'll type it again, Andres.Burgos@HACU, even though it's right there, it's always nice to type it again. Or you can always email us at HNIP@HACU.net. Both work fine for me. Thank you for showing up, Myra. Thank you, Angelica. I really hope to see your application in. We always need students who are always talkative in our info sessions. It's always great.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Andrea. Have a great day.
All right.
Great questions all around, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you for all those questions. I'm guessing this, we're coming up to the end. If we don't have any more questions, you guys can go ahead and email Andres. He provided the email. So thank you very much, you guys. And thank you, Andres, for providing all that wonderful information, at least with your opportunities and, helping out students and whatnot, because that's actually one of the biggest things is where, there's a lot of employers that really, are just accept applications, but really don't provide that aid or that help. So thank you very much with that, man, because at least with your opportunities, I feel like I wish I could join, but it's like, it is what it is, man.
You can always go back to grad school and then you can apply.
I wish, I really do wish I can go back to grad school, but
Yeah, I always like helping out. I always put a little bit more energy for my CSUs and my UCs as a California native. I gotta always give it out. I am a little biased sometimes in those applications.
I feel it. I know how that gets whenever you start getting like 100 applications. You have to sort through all of them. Man, you better put on some good music while you're doing that. So
I really do. Sometimes I see Monterey Bay or I see CSJ, San Jose State, San Diego State, UC Merced. I'm just like, you know what? This person deserves a little bit more attention.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, we're just coming up to 1:30. So thank you very much, Andres, and thank you guys for coming out to HACU's information session. So if you guys have any other questions, you can go ahead and email Andres or myself or Patrick. And thank you very much.
Also be sending over the slides right over to Patrick, and hopefully he sends it to all of you. All the contact information is there, as well as other information. So please feel free to check it out again as well.
All good.
And also share with friends and family, please.
Always. All right.
Thank you.
Bye. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful day. Take care.
Thanks.